we won't take a break. I'm going to go straight to this call. Tanya, welcome to the platform.
Thank you very much.
How can we help today?
Okay, I was one of the organisers of the Let Women Speak events, and I was there at the Auckland event. I was up on the stage with Kelly J when she arrived, and I hugged her, and I received a dose of tomato juice or tomato soup.
Right
on
there.
Top of me as well.
Right at the Nazi soup kitchen, some would say, Tanya.
Absolutely.
Tell us about... Well, I am going to ask you this. It's one of the people who organised. Do you think you were organised enough? Did you underestimate what was going to happen? Or did you think you lived in a country that valued free speech and had a police force?
Well, there's that. We had no idea that that amount of people would turn up. We were not expecting that at all. We managed for our expectations based on previous Let Women Speak events in other countries, and our previous experience dealing with protests in New Zealand around this type of activism. And we had no idea that this would happen. We had full approval from the council. We had arranged all security measures required. It had been approved by the police. It had been approved by security. They had advised us that it was appropriate. There was no way we could have foreseen this.
Yeah. Tanya, I'm particularly interested in your liaison with police. Had undertakings been made by the police? Were they aware of the situation? And what contingencies had they told you were in place?
I've had no communication with the police since the event, and clearly no communication during the event. They were utterly lacking in any competence during the event, and I'm absolutely furious.
Beforehand, though, had you talked to them? Had you liaised with them? Because clearly they were there when she arrived. And what did they tell you they would do for you?
They told us they would be there. My understanding was at least 2 hours prior to the event starting, that they would have a reasonable member of staff there, and they would be fully available and fully aware of the risks to the attendees.
I watched the live stream, and it appeared to me that the police were literally standing by on the street outside and did nothing to intervene once things got physical.
Absolutely correct. I was there on the rotunda when they the protesters stormed us, and I was calling 111, and the police operator was obstructive.
What do you mean obstructive? Tell us about that, Tanya.
She just kept telling me she couldn't hear me, that I needed to turn the volume down because it was too noisy. She couldn't hear me. So
did anyone go to the police who were standing in the street outside and said, come and help?
My understanding was that someone did do that, and they said that they were observing or something like that. But
they were observing.
I can't verify that.
Tony, I've talked to Kelly J. She said she was fearful for her life. I understand the police told her afterwards that they were surprised she wasn't killed.
Yes.
Was that the level to which that got?
There was a point where I thought we were in trouble. I was with Kelly J, along with at least 3 or 4 marshals and her bodyguard, as we took her out. We all went down, I think, but I went down and I was kicked and punched. And at that point, I was just running on instinct, really. I just had to get up. I knew that. I lost the others, but they managed to get Kelly J out safely, as we know.
God, this sounds horrifying. I'm sorry, this sounds so terrifying, Tanya.
Well, it wasn't fun.
Wow. So you get out, and then, look, were you talking to her afterwards? And look, I get a feeling
No, I haven't. No,
it seemed to me the police then the police then isolated her and told her, we can't help you, you should leave the country. That felt like what happened, Tanya.
Again, I wasn't there, third-hand information. If that's what she said happened, then that's what happened. I can't speak to that. I had to remove myself.
How do you feel about New Zealand this Monday morning, Tanya? How do you feel about free speech and the rights of women or anyone else in our society?
I feel totally and absolutely betrayed by the police. I feel betrayed by the media. No disrespect. I feel that free speech is non-existent. We were just going to talk. We had one microphone. We were just going to talk. There were women there that were just going to read out a poem. We were going to read out a poem, and we got beaten up. That is not okay.
No, it's not.
I am absolutely furious.
Don't blame you. Tanya, I do have to ask you this question, though. Who provided the funding for Kelly J's visit here?
Kelly J contributed a significant amount, and we crowdfunded. Well, we put out requests for donations.
Yeah, you know, mainstream media will say you were funded by Nazis, and that's just why I asked the question, to clear that up.
I don't know any Nazis. I only ever talk to people who agree with me, usually.
You got to talk to people who don't. That's how we learn stuff.
Oh,
that's how we grow. You know.
I prefer to learn without fists.
Tanya, I've invited Chanel Lyle and Max Tweedy and the rest of them, and Marama Davidson and the rest of them on the program this morning. They won't come. What would you say to them if they were here?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? What I would say to them, I would say, I probably can't say it.
You can. You know what? You can. You're on the platform. We let people say what they believe.
They should be absolutely, totally, 100% fucking ashamed of themselves. This was egregiously appalling behaviour. Promoting violence against women, most of them older women, is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We just wanted to talk.
I hear you, Tanya, and thank you for talking to us this morning. Thank you very much indeed. That is Tanya Stewart, one of those who helped organise Kelly Jane Keane Mitchell, otherwise known as Posie Parker's visit to New Zealand. We're going to take a short break.
Facts, dialogue, honest conversation. Vital elements in a functioning democracy.
I have a dream.
Used to be we had news media who were committed to telling you the truth, giving you all sides of the story, telling you what you needed to know so you could make up your own mind, and not taking sides themselves. All that has changed. Who can you trust in this rapidly changing world? Most Kiwi media are overseas owned. Most are taking government money that comes with strings attached. If they don't like what you say, you're cancelled. But now, there is a place where you can resist, get and share views that are honest and real. It's talk radio, it's honest opinions, it's free media. Join the resistance. Get on the platform.
And can I say to everyone listening, I will take a call from anyone. And we need to hear from those who we're on the other side of this, and I've invited them. They won't come. We got a lot of people and we've got a lot of calls, and I'm just going to keep going this morning. And excuse me if at times, I don't know why, I feel very emotional this morning about the stories that I'm hearing. Hey, Aaron, thanks for waiting, mate.
G'day, Sean. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling a bit the same way, mate. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's just something about this. It's like a watershed moment for this country. There's just something about it that I haven't been able to sleep for 2 nights. It's crazy.
You know, Aaron, strangely enough, I think a lot of people are feeling like that. I do think we've got to realise that life goes on, that the sun still rises, people still play rugby and went out and did their Sunday sport and Saturday sport and things, but I'd agree with you. There's something deeply disturbing about what's gone on here, isn't there?
Yes, well, actually, the future ramifications of it are what I'm actually calling about. I am in the security industry, and I specialise in de-escalation. And for us, this whole thugs veto thing, now that it seems to have the endorsement of the Minister for the Prevention of Family and Sexual Violence, as well as the Prime Minister, the Immigration Minister, it's kind of like Hell's Gates have opened for us, doing sort of protective work into the future, because these violent mobs now they seem to have the backing. It's like they've been condoned by the most powerful forces in the country. You've got the mainstream media behind them, politicians on the government side of the house, and I belong to a security group. It's a private Facebook group where people from all different companies, managers and whatnot, congregate and talk on topics. And everybody's shit scared. They're all sort of trying to race each other to gloat about how they turned down wanting to, Well,
I understand. I understand part of the problem with security was firms that had government or council contracts, particularly in Wellington, blacklisted.
Yes, we call them national contracts. And, so it was more sort of small-time companies that were being offered the contracts, and even they're sort of quick to put their hand up and say, they're grandstanding now. We turned her down because we don't believe in her message and this sort of thing.
Aaron, I'll tell you too, another thing most people don't know, the hotels that Posie had booked, gave her one night, gave her Friday night, and then cancelled. She had a death threat under the door of her hotel room when she arrived in New Zealand.
Yes, I was listening to her speak live on Twitter before. Just a side note too, she seems to be under the impression that the police weren't so on hand with her area where she was speaking because they were more concerned about what we know as Destiny's Church attendees.
Can I be brutally honest about this? I think the police deliberately got hold of Posie and scared bejesus out of her to get her out of the country.
Yeah, she won't hear a bad word about them. But I, being in the job I'm in, I see how police usually respond to things like that, and even far smaller events have had much more of a serious police presence. It's almost like they turn the other cheek. So, I'm very disappointed in the police too, which again goes to a lack of confidence for security guards, because they're our first port of call when things go wrong in a situation like that.
Well, look, if that was the case, they could come on and explain it. They know our number, Aaron?
Yes, well, I mean, I think it speaks to the guilty conscience that nobody's taking you up on your offer, because normally they can't wait to shout through the megaphone. So, I think some people have got a guilty conscience. And also, just another side note, I see you might be interested to see that Ben Shapiro's jumped into the fray now.
Oh, so, Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan, J.K. Rowling. I mean, Harry Potter is on the warpath over this, Aaron.
Yeah, not a good look for our country, mate. Not a good look for our country at all.
I thank you for your call, my friend. Lucy, nice to hear from you. How are you?
Morning, Sean. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Okay. I think I'm feeling a bit the same as everyone else, a little bit shaky, especially after hearing these stories this morning. But I just wanted to share what my experience was.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get there at 11 due to work, but I found out at 11:30 that Posie obviously had left. And so my partner and I still decided to go. So we kind of got there around 12:30 for the aftermath of the activists walking up Queen Street. So we kind of just walked on the side, trying not to look like we were part of it, but we were really observing. All we could hear was just bangs and crashes and whistles. The signage was just disgusting that we saw, was just so horrible. And it made me wonder, do you guys even realize what you're protesting for? it made me think. I was like, this is blind leading the blind up Queen Street. And anyway, long story short, we get to the top where then I realised, wow, so they're protesting against Destiny Church. So it was kind of like, right, let's find the church people, because we definitely felt safe there. We spoke to a few people, so they had like the Freedoms New Zealand, obviously all the Man Up shirts and stuff.
But separate event, completely separate event.
Yeah, separate event. So the protesters started protesting them and yelling at the people.
Funny though, you see, all those protesters then went down to take on Destiny Church. Wasn't a group of women, you know, of helpless women they could bully. It was a whole bunch of tough-looking guys, and they kind of backed off, I understand.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, we were probably up the top at Aotea Square for maybe 20 minutes, and it was pretty intense. I heard someone yell out, "You're not Māori if you don't support trans rights." So that was yelled out. There was a sign that said, "If you look at this, you're gay." And then, yeah, it was all, and we ended up watching the police. The police were in the middle of the group, and Destiny's Church were being pretty, like, calm. I think they were ready to go. And then the police just went on the side, like, away from the whole thing. And they just stood there. And I was
look, there
thinking,
may
what are
be
you
some
doing?
truth, Lucy, to the fact that there was such appalling security for the Stand Up, Speak Up for Women event because they were more concerned about a clash between Destiny Church and the protesters.
Yeah, well, it was clear that they were present there. Obviously, they had all the cop cars pushing, you know, helping them up and down Queen Street. But anyway, we saw them just fluff around and do nothing really. And then it was time to leave. And as I'm leaving, I noticed behind me that, you know, you can't really hear what people are saying, but this group, I don't know if they're women or men, or I don't know, they all had...
Hard to tell these days, Lucy.
Fluffy hair, but they were yelling at these two women who had shirts on. Sorry, we've got an ambo going past. You might be able to hear it. But these women had shirts on that said woman, adult, human, female. And one woman was on crutches, and these people were just yelling at them and screaming at them. And my partner and I ended up following these two women, and I looked at them, and they had like complete terror in their eyes. They looked so like they were going to cry, and I felt like crying. And I gave them a hug, and I, you know me, I ended up saying, "Hey, you know, Jesus loves you, and you know you're so strong," and whatnot. And then we ended up walking off, and I heard someone go, "Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you." And I turned to look, and it's these two guys who were part of the protest start mocking me, and then started mocking Jesus to my face. And yeah, killed them with kindness. I did, and I was really proud. And then they ended up walking off from me. And then we left, but overall it was really scary. These people weren't nice. It's not.
Yeah.
Why would you be proud? You know, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. They got a lot to be proud of after Saturday. Lucy, really good. Thank you so much for the call, and thank you for being kind. Really kind to a New Zealander in trouble. All right, we're just rolling with it this morning, to be honest. The texts are exploding. And I'm trying to get a picture of what happened. And okay, I learned something new this morning. The police were so concerned about a conflict between the Rainbow Mob and Destiny Church down at Aotea Square. Maybe they held back resources. That's why they hung Kelly J out to dry. And Kelly J loves the New Zealand police. Well, of course she does. They saved her life in the end. Well, they convinced her to run from this country in fear for her life. And doubtless they told her, we can't protect you. We're joined now by Deputy Leader of the ACT Party who's come out on this. And I hate to say it, the ACT Party are probably in a position to say we told you so on what happened on Saturday. Brooke van Velden joins us. Brooke, welcome back to the platform. Good to have you with us.
Yeah, good morning, Sean.
Is there a little bit of we told you so in the ACT Party at present, given the events of the weekend?
Oh,
Oh, we've lost you. Brooke?
We should be very disappointed. We should be very disappointed by what happened on Saturday. You know, it's everything that ACT has been saying, that unless we uphold free speech, the alternative is that we could end up with people being silenced by bullying, intimidation and violence. Free speech is the cornerstone of our democracy, and we have to protect it no matter whether we agree or disagree with anybody's opinion.
Yeah. The leaders of the counter-protest on Saturday will argue strongly that they exercised more their free speech too and all was fair.
Well, that's right. People do have a right to protest and have their views heard. The difficulty is that it resorts to physical threats of aggression.
Well, actual physical aggression, Brooke, if you look at the videos.
That's right. Posie Parker should never have been in a position of fearing for her life because she held a view and wanted to speak about it openly. We are better than that as a society. We should be a peaceful country where no matter what your view is, it should be respected. People have a right to an opinion. Instead, we're seeing people want to control what it is that you can say and control what it is that you can think. And I think we have to push back against it, because the message that this protest is sending to young kids who'll be watching this play out in the media too, is that if you have a different view to your peers, you should stay silent and you should remain silent. And if you encounter a view that you don't like from someone you don't like, it's okay to bully them, and it's okay to intimidate them and to use physical aggression and assault people. And I think we have to push back against that, because we cannot become a society where that is acceptable.
Are you satisfied that police did their job properly over the weekend?
Oh, look, I don't know enough details yet about how many police were there, but they should have been there to enforce people's rights to express their opinion and to also allow for a peaceful protest. I think it's really ironic, though, that you had a group of people who were concerned for their own safety end up being the ones committing forms of aggression against somebody else.
Well, it's called cry bullying, and it was pretty obvious that was what was going on, Brooke. Could I also say it was pretty obvious that crowd, that mob, was whipped up by mainstream media, in particular Television New Zealand, in the preceding days?
I think the Immigration Minister, Michael Woodhouse, also needs to be responsible for
Michael
his
Wood,
immature...
I make that mistake all the time.
Sorry. Michael Wood, he has to be responsible for his immature comments that riled people up. You know, the Immigration Department made the right decision. They weighed up the Bill of Rights, saying that you should be able to freely impart information and receive it in New Zealand, and whether or not someone would actually be of threat of public disorder. They made the right decision, and Michael Wood, with his comments, riled people up and made this more of an immature debate than it needed to be. He needed to be an adult in the room and say that we should uphold people's rights to freely impart information.
Well, TVNZ, are you going to comment about the media or not? They labelled her an anti-trans activist. They championed and platformed Chanel Lal time and time again and allowed him to say, come along, and basically form the mob. Yeah,
I think what we've seen is quite shocking, where people have been willing to condemn somebody for their views without actually allowing them the ability to...
Okay, would you say that Television New Zealand did that, Brooke?
I would say there are a range of platforms.
Why are you so... look, I'm going to be honest with you now, Brooke. Why are you so gutless and you won't criticise Television New Zealand? Are you worried they won't be nice to ACT?
Oh, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that we should be respectful of all.
Do you
people.
think Television New Zealand provided unbiased, impartial and professional news coverage of the events leading up to Saturday? Yes or no?
Well, no, I don't. I think what they should have done is allowed for a range of views, Sean. We saw people...
Do you think they allowed for a range of views or not?
I don't think they allowed for a range of views. I think it's important that in our society we have people who are able to speak their mind, no matter whether other people think that their views might be offensive. But what we've seen is a range of people who have a bias, attempt to say that one particular view is the right view and that no other view should be accepted or allowed to debate. And I think that's wrong. It has to be that we are a mature society, a peaceful society that accepts that not everybody thinks the same. And when it comes to Posie Parker, there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with her views, but there'll be some people who also agree with them. And we should have the ability as a society to analyse the actual ideas rather than attack the person because of them.
All right. Brooke, what happens now? Or do we just say, that's New Zealand 2023?
Well, I think it's harder than that, Sean. You know, we have a government that also wants to push forward or hopes to put through so-called hate speech legislation. And it's our role in ACT and in Parliament to oppose these laws like we always have because they have a chilling effect on society. You know, think of what could have happened if Posie Parker had come to New Zealand and we had a law that criminalised threatening or insulting or offensive speech that's extremely subjective to the people who are receiving the information. It's quite possible that this crowd would have said that she should have been imprisoned for her views. And I think that is unacceptable, and we have to fight back against that as a society. Yeah. We need younger people to be open to having ideas that might challenge them so that they can build resilience and accept that not everybody is going to agree with you all the time, and that's okay. At the moment, we're raising the next generation of children to believe that, you know, they should never have a negative emotion and they should never be challenged because of their views. And I think that will lead us to be a very unhealthy society.
Yeah. Do you agree with Marama Davidson that white cis men like me are responsible for all the violence in the world, and should she remain a minister, whether inside or outside cabinet, if she expresses such views?
I don't think Marama Davidson should be in cabinet. I mean, if you look at
No, not in cabinet, a minister. She's a minister outside cabinet.
Marama Davidson, I think she should be ashamed by her comment that was extremely provocative. And she should actually be asked, where is the evidence for her claim?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Brooke, is this worthy of a snap debate on Wednesday in Parliament?
It's quite possible. It would have to be about what the government's responsibility and actions have been, though. It's not possible to have a debate on something that happens within society that doesn't have ministerial responsibility. Yeah. I think there's a chance there for the Minister of Immigration to be asked why he sought advice to be able to intervene in the immigration decision and was told that it didn't meet ministerial threshold. Because I've also seen advice that he was completely wrong, and he could have banned Posie Parker from the country if he'd really wanted to. But, you know, I think all in all, we just need to be a healthier society that accepts not everybody's going to agree with you all the time. And we do need our leaders to be adults in the room and to calm people down and say, you know what?
Would you agree right now, though, that the thugs veto is the law in New Zealand?
Well, that's the way we're heading, Sean, and it's very dangerous and disappointing. It is mob rule, and we have to fight back against that. It is not healthy for our society to shout down people, intimidate people, and bully people because of their views. And we see this a lot come from people on the left who want to protect people at the expense of others' rights. And we cannot allow that. In a healthy society, we should respect all people and allow for a range of views. And I think on the whole, when it comes to gender identity, or whether it comes to climate change, or whether it comes to poverty and what ways that we can alleviate those, you have to allow for a range of views rather than controlling the narrative.
Yep, and that's certainly what has been done this weekend. I thank you very much for your time. Brooke van Velden, the Deputy Leader of the ACT Party. This text: as a middle-aged traditional gay guy living in New Zealand, I'm ashamed, afraid and disgusted at the protest. The rainbow flag stood for tolerance, inclusion and empathy, yet today it's a symbol of utter shame, representing the very bigotry many spent years to overcome. Those involved have indelibly disgraced the sacrifice of their forebears. Thank Christ for the platform. A mainstream rank amateur media is just as culpable as the mob. A dark day for all of New Zealand. I'd love you to ring in. I want you guys to ring in, as shocked, as disturbed as you may be. People from the other side, people who think this is a victory for the rainbow. I want to hear from you as well. And geez, even Brooke van Velden, reluctant to have a crack at the media. Tell you one thing, Jack Tame laughed when an egg was thrown at Posie Parker. He said, at least she's got dinner sorted. He said that live on air on News Talk ZB. Remarkable, Jack. Hope you're proud of yourself, mate. Hope your mum's proud of you. Just amazing. The bias shown and the groupthink displayed by our media. Also on Saturday night on One News, Corazon Miller, who was reporting 4 or 5 times misnamed, well, Kelly J. Keane Minchell is her real name, but of course Posie Parker is her pseudonym, also known as, 4 times she called her Rosie Parker. Now, I think that was deliberate. I think that was a petulant little misnaming or dead naming come up with by the activists at Television New Zealand. And Television New Zealand News has been appalling in this, and I think Simon Power, the chair of Television New Zealand, needs to take a jolly good hard look in the mirror and go talking to the activists, the extremist rainbow activists who are clearly in control of news and current affairs at Television New Zealand. Look, I'll tell you what, Mel, you hang on the line. I think we have to throw in some news. Let's throw in some news now and then get back into it. The lines are open. 0800 33 2283. If you have never rung Talk Radio before, and if you're feeling something, and if you're feeling like you've got to say something, today's the day, folks. Get on the platform.
News on the platform.
In this update, National says the Posie Parker rally wasn't a good look for New Zealand. Thousands protested Parker's planned speaking tour over the weekend. Scuffles broke out at Saturday's Auckland rally in Albert Park. Parker called it off after having tomato juice poured over her. National leader Chris Luxon says they believe in the right to protest, but also in the right to free speech.
The vast majority, I wasn't there, but from what I could see on TV, looked peaceful. But, I think by the time you're throwing liquid at people, that clearly was intimidating behaviour.
Researchers are calling for greater transparency around the risks facing New Zealand. Koitu, the Centre for Informed Futures, wants to set up a national risk assessment authority so we can better prepare for disasters. Co-author Sir Peter Gluckman says at the moment risk assessments given to politicians aren't publicly shared. He says it would make the scientific advice on a range of risks available to all.
It must include range from pandemics at one end to natural disasters and human-induced disasters at the other end.
The body of a New Zealander killed on the front lines in Ukraine could soon be heading home. RNZ is reporting Kane Tatai's uncle will escort his body home to his marae via Poland. The US town of Rolling Fork has been utterly devastated by a deadly tornado. At least 26 people have died in Alabama and Mississippi. Dozens are injured and thousands of homes have been destroyed after the storms surged through the states. That's news.
Sport on the platform.
In this update, A tidy all-round contribution from Amelia Kerr to secure Mumbai the inaugural Indian Premier League women's cricket title. They've won the final by 7 wickets with 3 balls remaining, hunting Delhi's 131 for 9 at Brabant Stadium. Kerr took 2 for 18 from her 4 overs and scored 14 not out off 8 balls in the chase. Scotty Scheffler has lost his World Match Play Golf Championship semi-final to Sam Burns in a playoff at Austin, Texas. Burns was 3 up after 4 holes before Scheffler rallied to send the match to a playoff with a birdie on the 18th. 3 holes were required to separate the pair. He'll face Cameron Young for the title. Harry Plummer has marked his return to Super Rugby Pacific by leading the Blues to a 30-17 win over the Force at Eden Park. That's sport. I'm Jodie Gill.
And you are on the platform. Look, we've dumped a bit of our news today. Could I also just say I don't write our news. We buy that off someone else. And I do not agree with everything it says, particularly Posie Parker is not an anti-trans activist. Boy, I just don't think I'm going to get anywhere near all the texts we got today. Ring in. The number is 0800 332 283. Mel, thank you for waiting.
Hi, Sean.
How are you?
Sean, it was a setup, Sean. It was. I was there and it was a setup. We were set up. Us women was set up. And the crowd was really violent. I'm not kidding you. I'm surprised that they didn't get to Posie, and I'm surprised that she got out.
Were you there, Mel?
I was right there. I've never been to a protest before. I'm not an activist. I'm not aligned with any party. I'm just an ordinary New Zealand woman, a mother, a grandmother, and worked hard and, just live an ordinary life. And I wanted to hear what she had to say and what other women had to say. And part of the reason I went was just purely curiosity, because I'm so concerned about what is happening in our country. And it was horrific. And they came through, and there's a 250-pound drag queen running towards us. It was frightening. It was so frightening, Sean. And it was a setup, and we were sitting ducks inside what they
Mel,
put up
did you get hurt?
flimsy fences. I didn't get hurt. I got out. I got out. It was hard to get out, but I got out. And I was so scared, and I'm still scared now.
Yeah.
And I ran.
Yeah.
I went up to where the police van was, and people were running up there saying to the police, "Please come and help. It's out of control."
And what were the police saying, Mel?
They said nothing. They sat in that van and they just said nothing at all. They wouldn't get out. And there was a few police around, and they took some iron bars off some of the protesters and they threw them into the gardens. And I saw that, and we're standing there, and people were just saying, "You've got to help. You've got to help. This, it's out of control." It was just frightening. And then Marama Davison comes along with her posse, skipping along, laughing and joking and whipping everybody up and saying, "Good job." And honestly, we were set up. The people that attended to see Posie and Posie herself, it was a big setup, and I think that crowd was out to do some serious harm.
Yeah, I hear you, Mel.
I've never experienced anything like it, honestly, and I didn't tell my husband I was going because he wouldn't have let me go, because we're not into
Mel, I want to ask,
stuff.
have you got friends, family around you, or are you on your own? Because you sound distressed, and I'd like to know that you're safe.
I'm on my own, but I'm okay. But
Mel,
I'm
there are.
worried.
Look, have you got helplines and stuff? Have you got neighbours? You got anyone you can reach out to?
Yeah, I can, but Sean,
could
I'm
I ask
really
you to?
worried about this country.
I know, but at the moment, I'm worried about you. So I want you to take care of yourself.
I'll be okay. I think I'm just in shock. I'm in shock. like there were young girls there in the crowd, lots of university students, and they were banging their tambourines and their pots and blowing their whistles, and I just wondered, like, my God, I just couldn't believe it. I'm just like, what is happening? There was no love there.
Yeah, just hang on, Mel. Just hang on a second. Mel, I'm going to get you a number. Look, Ben's looking for some numbers you can call. I am concerned that you're on your own, and there are. Well, last time I looked, the government.
I'll be all right.
Well, are you sure? Because I'm
so distressed because the government endorsed all that, but it's like they wanted this to happen.
Yeah, it does look like that, doesn't it, Mel? It does. Can I for once, without any irony or sarcasm, say, I do reckon you need a cup of tea and a lie down, Mel, and I, and I'm not joking.
I was shaking for hours on Saturday, honestly, and I was crying. I was walking down the road, and I talked to this lady, this couple, and I said, I've never been to a protest in my entire life. I don't understand what went on there. And I said, I thought gay and lesbian, whatever. I don't care what somebody is. It's just, they're just people. I thought they were kind people. I thought they really were kind people. And she said to me that the trans community are very aggressive and very violent. Now, I had no idea. Like, I'm so naive with these things because I just, it's not what I'm about. I just want everyone to get along and live in a good country.
Now, what I want you to do is I want you to just put all this out of your head for a bit. Just chill and be you.
Yeah, I will.
And I want to give you a big thank you for ringing in and sharing with that from your day. And just take care of yourself, huh?
I just wanted to get it off my chest, and I've done that now, so thank you, Sean.
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime, Mel. And it's amazing, isn't it? Chris Luxon saying what he saw on the TV was mostly peaceful. Yeah, because you were watching the TV. You were watching TV1, weren't you? And TV3. TV3 actually did a better job than TV1. But Chris Luxon, if you think you are getting the truth from the mainstream media, who are part of the problem, then you're a fool. It was mostly pretty peaceful, says Chris Luxon. Listen to Mel. Listen to the other people who were there, the women who have rung in today, and tell me it was peaceful. Okay, I probably need a cup of tea too. Kirsty, thank you for waiting.
Hi, Sean. I just wanted to firstly say thank you very much for giving women a voice. I really appreciate you doing this. I was there on Saturday as well. I was pretty near the front when I saw Posie have that juice thrown over her. And from that moment, it was just carnage. There was just basically little removable barriers around the band rotunda. I'm still feeling shocked today, and my heart goes out to that lady who spoke before. I spoke to a woman in her 60s who was punched in the breast. I saw a lady in her 70s with a black eye. There was a palpable feeling in the air when we got there of hate and violence. And, we were a crowd, mostly middle-aged women. There were no protection. There was no police visible. We had to get out. I was actually there with one of my lesbian friends. I'm not anti-gay. I'm not anti-trans. We had to link arms and push through the surging crowd and get out. And it was horrific. And I genuinely feared for Kelly's life. I was really frightened. If they had got hold of her, they would have killed her. I am in no doubt.
Wow. And what do you think about the political response, the police response, the media response to what happened on Saturday, and, to be honest, their part in it?
I'm disgusted. They whipped people up. They kept saying that she's anti-trans, and if anyone actually looked at her videos, they would say that she's not actually anti-trans at all. And to see Martima Davidson and Chloe Swarbrick, who is my local MP, I've emailed them. I'm absolutely disgusted. And, Marama Davidson, laughing. And Chloe Swarbrick was photographed with that person who threw the juice over Kelly. And they've been lauded as heroes. It's absolutely disgusting. And like that previous lady said, yesterday I went for a walk. And I'm not a scared woman at all. I was feeling nervous yesterday. It really shook my foundation for what I saw yesterday. And the thing that most shocked me is there was a lot of women there supporting this, and it was okay to see elderly people. I mean, I've seen videos of a man being punched by a drag queen, a well-known drag queen. I'm happy to give his name off here if you like.
You can give his name on here, Kirsty. Who was it?
It was Trinity Ice.
Yeah, Trinity Ice, who put the elbow into that guy.
Yes.
That looked real scary. That was really nasty. That was one of the most violent thing I'd seen. Apart from the old guy getting repeatedly punched.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Trinity Ice looks like he's built like a brick, what house. So, it was shocking, really, really shocking. And I think it's going to take quite a while for me and the other woman that were there to kind of get over this, because it's really shaken how safe we feel in New Zealand. And
Kirsty, the question I'm going to ask you, do you think this is... do you seriously think that this is as bad as it's going to get? This is the trend, Kirsty.
Sean, to be honest, after what I saw on Saturday, I think it could get worse.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that, but I really do.
Kirsty, I thank you so much for sharing your truth. What do you say to Chris Luxon when he says, I watched the TV and it looked pretty peaceful? What would your message be to Chris Luxon?
Turn off the TV. Speak to some people who were really there. Look at alternative media like the platform. Honestly, he's got no idea.
I thank you for your call, Kirsty. Have a safe day. Okay, we got calls lined up. I'm going to say to you, blokes, when you ring in, you're bottom of the queue. Today, women get first, so you might be waiting a while, guys. It doesn't mean you haven't got valid views. I just am trying to rebalance the books a little bit here. Let's have a quick break.
Martin Devlin, Untamed.
But the path is pretty. That's where my baby is at. Hey, show me the way. Look, if this is a banger, this is a slammer, this is a jammer. You put this on at the boozer and people they're all going boom, boom. Because it's got that hook, and here it comes. Play this at the rugby instead of Sweet Caroline. Do you know where Amarillo is? Amarillo's in the Panhandle, mate. I've been to Amarillo. Amarillo's in Texas. Sha-la-la-la-la-la-la. Tell me why this isn't played at the rugby.
It is.
When?
Well, I don't know if it actually is.
It should be played at the rugby.
Well.
Okay, that's a slap.
Get rid of Neil Diamond and put this on.
Put this on. Put some Tony Christie on. Put some Tony Christie. God damn.
It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin, Untamed. Only on the platform.
And you are on the platform where we're not taking sides, we're just telling the truth, and a truth that other media will not tell in this country right now. As I said, blokes, you're going to be waiting a while because women are first in the queue today here on the platform. And Lynn, welcome to you.
Yeah, good morning, Sean. How are you?
Getting there.
Yeah. As for the events that happened over the weekend, I'm absolutely appalled. It makes a mockery for women's rights. It makes a mockery for our forebearers, and especially my great-great-grandmothers who worked for the vote.
Why do you feel so strongly about that? What? Look, I'm sorry, I'm reading the media, I'm listening to the politicians. They're saying there's nothing to see here. It was a wonderful rainbow explosion of love.
We're supposed to be a society that is against violence against women. We've got laws, I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. And I'm
no, don't, Lynn, you're okay. You're okay, and if you want to hang up the phone, you're not going to.
We've got laws that are supposed to be there to help support women and to be against violence against women. All this has done is just... made our rights void. I stood up against a family member after he abused our female members of my family, and I sent him to prison. What's this going to do? Is this going to make everything void for women? I am terrified. I really am scared of the way this direction the country is heading.
Lynn, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say to you because I can understand why you're scared.
Yeah.
And I'll share something with you, Lynn.
Up?
Lynn, I was going to go down on Sunday to what happened on Sunday, and it got cancelled, of course, and I was thinking about going down anyway. And you know why I didn't go down in the end, Lynn? Because I was scared too.
Yeah. We talk about bullying in schools. I mean, my kids get bullied at school if they haven't been beaten up as such, but why? I mean, we talk about how we shouldn't be for violence, and yet the media and this current government is portraying violence and encouraging it. Yeah. Where are we going as a society? We've got to have to think about this seriously.
I hear you, Lynn. I hear you. What do you think when you read the papers and watch the TV news, though, and they say everything's okay? It was just a big love fest.
I think they're just lying to us. They are really lying. They're deluded. They're absolutely deluded. And where are the men? Where are you guys? Why aren't you speaking up for us, women? We need your support. Where's the husbands? Where's the brothers, the uncles, the grandparents? Why aren't you speaking up against this? I'm not against the transgender. I wasn't against the gay rights movements.
Yeah.
Where's my right? Where's my right to have a speech?
Well, Lynn, this morning, Lynn, it's right.
Do they really hate us that much?
Lynn, it's right here on the platform, and it always will be. And I'm sorry. I just want to tell you I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sean, that you are speaking up for us.
No, you're speaking up for yourself this morning, Lynn.
I'm tired of the way that we women seem to be cried down, and it doesn't matter what we do.
Yeah. I hear you. I thank you for your call. You got someone with you today? You're going to be all right today? I know a lot of people...
Yeah, no, I'm a lot stronger. I'm a lot stronger for what we've had to go through over the last few years.
Yeah. I thank you, Lynn.
That's why I rang.
I thank you, Lynn. You're a brave woman, and lucky to have you call in. Thank you. Oh, boy. This from Steve. Drag queens are assaulting women and the elderly on Saturday, then our councils want them reading to our kids on Monday. Trite but true. Katrina, thank you for waiting. Katrina?
Sorry, Sean, you caught me having a sip of coffee.
Yeah.
Hi, Sean. Look, I was one of the organisers for the Wellington event, and I was in on the conversation we had with the police, and it was, I can't remember his full title. It was sort of like, the event organiser or manager or something like that, And I'm going to paraphrase here, but I have recorded the conversation. But during this conversation, because we're talking about, what we had in place, to security and everything like that we had in place for the event in Wellington. And at one stage, he basically said that the police have to be careful about the optics. Now, as I said, I'm paraphrasing, have to be careful about the optics of how they deal with the rainbow people, because of the fact, as soon as it looks as though they're being a bit sort of, like robust or hard or anything like that, there's a lot of outcry against it. So they have to be, careful. And he actually said this. So I'm not surprised that the police held back on Saturday. Now, I think there's other things going on as well, but I'm not surprised that they held back and let women take it instead of making themselves look bad by wading in and sort of,
they would have looked at all that footage from Australia where they get caught in the middle and everyone yells effing pigs. But I think they'd made a decision to stay out of this. I do think they hung Posie out to dry in Albert Park.
I think so too. Yes. And as I said, he was quite clear. He said it quite
and I
clearly
think
that,
Posie was given, and you guys were given no guarantee that the police would keep her safe in Wellington, right?
Pretty much, no guarantee. He said there would be a police presence. Of course, at first there was going to be almost nothing, and then once they saw the footage in Melbourne, they decided to up it. So they said that there would be, like, in Wellington, about 7 personnel on hand.
Funny, isn't it? Funny, isn't it, Katrina, when they're protecting Parliament and a whole lot of MPs who won't come down and talk to protesters, they get 700 cops in from around the country, sonic cannons and the full lot. A bunch of women want to say something in a public square. We're a bit busy. Might look bad for us.
Yeah, that's right. Because I think the Cuba Dutha event was on also in Wellington. So, they sort of, they said that there'd be 7 at the rally and there'd be about maybe 6 more. I made the numbers a little bit back to front. About 6 more on call monitoring, around the festival that could be on call. So that was it for the rally, and that was after looking at Melbourne footage.
Yeah.
And that's what he quoted.
So fundamentally, you were told I mean, look, I can see why she left the country, and I can see why Sunday's event didn't go ahead. You're basically told our government, through our police, is not going to support, protect or uphold your right to freedom of speech in a public place, right?
That's right, yeah. We'll give you the bare minimum because, we've kind of had our hand forced a little bit, that kind of thing.
But we're so scared of the rainbow or the extremist rainbow groups, we don't really want to be involved.
That's right, yes. Scared of the optics of what happens when they get a bit robust.
Jesus, I'm ashamed. I'm bloody ashamed to be a man today and ashamed to be a New Zealander. I'm sorry.
Yeah, look. Yeah, I tell you, I'm really ashamed of New Zealand too now, and I'm thinking to myself, what would the world be looking at us like? A bunch of yokels.
Well, I can tell you they are looking at us and making comparisons to North Korea, which are a little over-dramatic, but they're basically saying the wokest, bentest country in the world, I think is what the rest of the world is saying on social media.
Yeah, and it's not to our detriment.
Katrina, what do you say to someone like Chris Luxon? He says it looked pretty peaceful to me on Saturday.
Well, he was certainly looking at selected footage, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Katrina, I thank you very much for your call. And can I also say I thank you very much for still believing that we live in a country where even if I don't agree with you, you have the right to say what you believe in a public place and express your views, and I will die in the ditch for your right to do that.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, just a reminder, calls are stacked up. Guys, you're at the back of the queue today. And I repeat my request for Chanel Lyle, Max Tweedy, anyone involved in organising the thuggery on Saturday, ring the platform. The number is open, 0800 33 2283. I've asked you on social media. You'd rather go and talk to your friends and allies in state and mainstream media, wouldn't you? The people who you've got to do the rainbow tick, who you control at fear of loss of their life and loss of their livelihoods and loss of income.